Hi there, and welcome back for another WCA winter programming video. My name is Ty, and today I'm joined by Bonnie McKay. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Good to hear. Thank you for joining us. So you've got a special cooking lesson planned for us today. Can you tell me about that?
This is my Bannock Recipe. This actually is my grandmother's Bannock Recipe. Very simple ingredients.
Perfect. Well, let's get started.
So normally I just eyeball it and I don't really use measurements, but for this video I did some measurements. So this is 4 cups of flour and I just use regular flour. So I'm going to use about 2 cups of cold water and 2 tablespoons of baking powder and just a pinch of salt. So what I usually do is I just kind of sift the flour a little bit so it's a little bit softer. So usually go with that. And then I just hollow out a hole in the middle. Okay, now we're ready for our ingredients. I used to use the blue ribbon baking powder, but they don't make that anymore. So I just started using this magic. It's pretty good. Does the job. So that's the 2 tablespoons, and then I just put like a pinch of salt, like that. So maybe that's about a half a teaspoon. And then I add my cold water into the middle, just slowly.
And it needs to be like cold water specifically?
Well, I use cold water, but my daughter, she uses warm water. So I'm not sure if there's really too much of a difference. Yeah, I've always used cold water, but my daughter's Bannock is just as good. So I just work my way from the bottom to get the baking powder all blended up.
And so what kind of consistency are you looking for?
It'll come into like a dough. And I like it when it's still a little bit moist, not too dry. Because if it's too dry, then it's lumpy and doughy in the middle. And then you may need to add some water at times. But this is good. It's always like the dough to be nice and soft. So this one gets a little bit of flour. It's still a little bit wet. Here. So now I'm ready to roll it out. I'm just gonna prepare this area first. So I usually like to just use this cooking spray just so it's easier to clean up. Like this. And then I add a little bit of flour. And now I just kind of like roll my dough into ball in here. So now I'm just going to and you don't want to waste too much flour, so try to make sure that your flour is mixed in together. So now I'm just going to bring it all in together and knead it. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to do. I'm going to do that right away. I usually turn on my oil because the amount of time for the shortening to melt in the pan, it's usually ready for me when I'm ready to fry it up. So I'll just go over here. So I use 1 whole block of pepper flake and I use my cast iron.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I use that. Well, I make a lot of Bannock, so I just use the whole thing. So
no, I love it. You just came over with just the whole bar. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll just let that melt for a bit. Okay. So now I'm ready to roll out my dough. Knead it out. over. And if I was making baked bannock, this is probably how much I would flatten it to. And then I would just use my fork and then poke holes through it. And then just put it in the oven at 350 for about 30-35 minutes. But since I'm making fried today, just gonna flatten it out a little bit more. You could use a rolling pin as well. Sometimes I use a rolling pin. If you're making baked bannock, you don't want to work it this much, otherwise it'll be flat. Alrighty, so then now I just use a pizza cutter, but I use also just like a regular drinking cup, and then I'll just cut it in circles if I'm going to make bannock burgers. But this is just regular bannock, regular fried bannock. So, and then I just cut a little hole in here. It kind of evens out the cooking. Some people, they don't use a hole. They don't make a hole in their bannock, but this is just how I've always done it and how I was taught. So just have it. So this is like the basic recipe that I use. And another thing I make out of bannock is bannock hot dogs. Ooh. So I'll use the same recipe, but I'll make the dough a lot more thinner. And then I cook my hot dogs. And then all you do when your dough is all laid out, after your hot dogs are cooking, you'll just put your hot dog on the dough and roll it in and just fry it up. And also with the Indian tacos too, you can do the same thing. I just make my bannock in bigger circles. All right, so I'm gonna check the grease. Oh, it's still trying to melt, so we'll need a little bit more time. Like I usually throw in a little bit of flour in there. See, it's not like really sizzling. It's not hot enough yet. So we'll just wait a few minutes. Another recipe that I make, and it's for my baked bannock, I'll have all the same ingredients, but I'll add about a cup of raisins. Yeah, so I make raisin bannock and then just throw it in the oven for about 35 minutes and you're good to go.
That sounds yummy. I've always had savory bannock, so sweet bannock.
I know my husband really likes the raisin bannock.
I don't blame him.
Okay, so and then if you need to make more than this, you can just add on more flour, more water. But I've always only ever used like 2 heaping tablespoons of the baking powder and a pinch of salt. And it always seems to work out. So I'm just gonna chuck my flour, my pan again. And it's all melted. So sizzling okay. So now I'm gonna put my bannock in there. You don't want to overcrowd the frying pan. Let's have it so it could be a little bit hotter, but it'll still cook. So there we go. And then I just use my fork to flip it around.
So is tenderflake grease?
I think it's lard.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Would oil work just as well, or is lard?
Yeah, cooking oil works as well too. And actually, like my other daughter, she cooks her bannock in a skillet. But I like this way. The heat stays consistent in a cast iron. So usually cook that until it's brown underneath, then golden brown, but still not.
Still looking like Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yes. Yeah. If I was in a rush when the kids were growing up and I had a lot of bannock to make, I would cutting the bannock and I would just get them to do this part. It's a bit of a time saver. And they learn too.
This is kind of satisfying to watch because they are, but they're like puffing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why the holes were necessary.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when it's really puffing out like that, you know it's really getting cooked right in the middle. And then when you flip it over, you're just basically like browning this other side.
It's kind of just cool to watch this in real time because I've never.
Oh, you never seen this before?
No, I've always seen the products of the cooking, but I've never actually seen someone make bannock before. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
And so this is kind of the color you're looking for?
Yeah, and also like the just how you know it's puffed out.
Gotcha. That looks so yummy.
Too bad you weren't here.
Yeah. I'm regretting my choice not to cook along with you.
It's so good when it's like freshly cooked and you cut it open and just put your butter or margarine on there and it just melts right on.
You put butter on it? I guess I should try that. I've never really tried like seasoning my bannock.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, yeah. And then even like we'll cut it open and then we'll even use jam, peanut butter.
Ooh.
Yeah, bologna, whatever sandwich meat you like. Mostly bologna you like.
I do like bologna.
Another thing I do too with baked bannock, like if we still have some the next day, and then we'll just slice it up, and then we put it on the top rack in the oven, and then we broil it on high, and then we get it to like just like toast. We call it bannock toast.
Ooh.
And then we have that with our breakfast. That is my favorite.
This is good repertoire for making the most out of my bannock.
Yeah. Oh, this is ready. So I usually have a bowl here and then I line it. I put paper towel in and then I'll just put that off and then let my bannock sit in here. Like so the paper towel will soak up the grease. Now I'm ready for another batch. Oh, and then you just like gotta be careful too because the grease is so hot. So you just kind of lay the dough in there. Oh wait, so that one other recipe I wanted to try was my neighbor. She used to make it for us once in a while. She would make her bannock dough, but she would also cook mashed potatoes and hamburger. Then she would mix it all up. And I'm not sure what kind of seasoning she had in there. There was a little bit of seasoning. And she would just roll it into like a pizza pop. She would put that the potato and hamburger mixture, roll it into the dough like a pizza pop, and she brought it over when it was fried, and she also baked it. That was good. Yeah, I haven't done it. Good. Yeah. So there's a lot you can do with bannock. When the kids were small and all here, it would be gone as fast as I could cook it.
Yeah, same at my house, whatever bannock gets brought home.
Yeah.
So how many does the current amount of stuff you've kind of used make?
It just all depends on how big the pieces are. So this here, this is 5-10. So then this would give you about 18 to 20 pieces, depending on how big you cut them.
So it's a pretty big batch.
Yeah.
So when you finish making the bannock, and let's just say you're living in one of those weird households where it doesn't get eaten right away, do you need to freeze it or put it in the fridge, or how do you keep it?
I just put it in a Ziploc bag, just like bread. I'll keep it in my bread box, then we can have it the next day.
Nice.
I've never had to freeze it. I've never tried that.
That's fair. That's why I said if you're in one of those weird houses where it's not immediately gone within like the first 2 days.
Yeah. But I'll even take some down to my mother-in-law's if I've made too much, just so we don't waste.
Gotcha.
So this looks about ready. So I'll get my bowl here. See, and then if you notice too, I usually look at my fork so it's like pretty clean, like there's no dough.
Gotcha.
Right. 1, 2. Have a little tiny piece. Add that in there.
This is very satisfying to watch, just like when you put it in, it just immediately starts bubbling.
Kind of relaxing.
Yeah.
I like cooking, but my favorite food is just soup. All different kinds of soup.
Oh yeah?
I could live on soup every day. I try a lot of different soup recipes with a lot of different spices.
Okay. What's your favorite kind of soup to make?
What my grandmother used to make, and it's very plain. It's just hamburger with potatoes and flour. My favorite.
Flour?
Yeah. And what she'll do is she'll cook the hamburger and have the potatoes in there cooking, and then near the end she would just have a little small plastic tumbler, and then she would just sprinkle the flour into the soup pot, and there'd be like little dumplings in there.
Oh.
Yeah, and then she would add a little bit of salt and pepper.
Oh, that sounds really good. That sounds like comfort food.
Yeah. Another favorite is like a stewing beef in the oven. Yeah, I cook everything in the oven, put a lot of vegetables in there, and it'll be like, I'll cook it in a roast pan. That's when I know if all the kids are coming or will be home.
So who taught you how to make bannock?
My grandmother. Well, my grandmother, I watched her, and then I kind of stopped. Like, I didn't make it right away. But my mom also makes bannock every day. She has a full house. I got her to refresh my memory. Well, this was quite a few years ago, though, when the kids were small. And I just kept doing it. It didn't start out like this, of course.
That's reassuring, actually. Just in case anyone's expecting to get it right the first time.
Yeah, no. My bannock used to be really flat, hard, and even my fried bannock, it wouldn't rise. But I think it was because I was working the dough too much. Yeah.
So you can't knead it too much, or?
No, it's hard when you knead it too much. Let's see, there's a little bit of dough on my fork, so it's still doughy in the middle. So I'm going to grab my last 2 pieces while those are still cooking. So after this is all done, then I'll have 18 pieces.
They're like so lonely.
Yeah, and it's not as bubbly.
Poor little guys. Nah, they'll get eaten all the same.
Yeah.
So what do you do with the oil when you're done?
Like if I know I'm gonna make bannock tomorrow, I'll just put it in in a pan or in a sealer and then reuse it again. Usually, like, you see all this flour here at the bottom. Gotta watch how much that is because it's kind of used already. So sometimes I'll just take it outside.
Gotcha.
Well, it won't be me. I usually send the boys out.
Fair enough. You're going to do the cooking. Someone has to do the cleaning.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we are done.
That looks delicious.
If you were around, I'd give it to you.
Damn it.
So I'm just gonna put that there, and then I just take the pan off of the element. So that's it.
Perfect. That looks amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your recipe with me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you want to get in contact with WCA, you can reach us at Wazigaming Community Arts on Facebook and Instagram, or you can contact us at wazigamingcommunityarts@gmail.com.
No, introduce you. This is my daughter. Mary.
Hi.
My daughter. Mary.
Pleased to meet you. Thank you for filming.
Yeah. Alrighty.